Look at your website and read your material. You're still carrying the Canadian thing pretty strongly, eh?
Well, all the relatives are here, so no matter what, even if I grew up in California, my parents, everything was Canadian to them. So all the relatives would come down in the summer times, or we'd go back to Halifax in the summer times. And it was definitely shoved into me, a sense of Canada.
How much did that incredible musical community that is so vibrant in Nova Scotia, how much did that get into your work at a young age?
Not that much. I was more into Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell and Liza Minnelli and Barbra Streisand. So not much at all. I didn't really listen to much folk music. I loved Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, and I loved Godspell. And I learned all the parts, so I would kind of have my own plays in my room. I always play alone. And I always liked melodies and drama and theater and stuff like that.
And yet you got some of that. I think you were turned on to some of that great that show music by a Nova Scotian relative, right? Who was a
Cape
great
Breton
piano player. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle Louis McMullen. All the Cape Bretoners. We have deep roots in Cape Breton, and so. In fact, my aunt lives in Canso, where the Stan Rogers Folk Festival is, and you can see Cape Breton right across from there.
You're often described by that weighty term, a songwriter's songwriter. Does that have some meaning for you?
So my Uncle Louis would turn me on to all that music, and then my Uncle Steve, he went to Vietnam, and he left me a lot of his records, and I remember just going into the den one day and pulling out different records and putting them on, and one of my biggest memories is putting on Bob Dylan Blonde on Blonde and listening to that over and over and over again. And the way that he sang Just Like a Woman was so beautiful to me. And the sound of the nylon string guitar and those arpeggio riffs really stuck with me. So I love that. And I love just I love being turned on to new music. And so, but I've never been much of like, I don't have like true folk pedigree. I always liked, like I said, I liked musicals better.
You talk a lot about this dynamic process, this way you develop songs with other people in groups, and you have a number of songs that you perform. What I was charmed by in that is that you take what would be easily seen as exercises and grant them the same sincerity and depth of purpose as the stuff that you might deeply craft in your own, heartfelt moment. Where's that coming from?
Well, I just think that we need deadlines, and if we have deadlines, we don't know how much we don't use our brains enough. And so if I have deadlines, I can make up songs, and it's like playtime to me. It's really childlike if I was to really analyze it and look at it. Getting me into a studio was like pulling teeth because it's a boring. It has to be fun and playtime to me to get me in there. I hate it when I can't sit in a room and hear them get a drum sound for 12 hours. I will go insane. I need to go put on a show or do something. So that's why it was such a joy to work with Joel Plaskett, getting back to Dreamhouse, is that he is so organized. And the way his mind works, I have really a lot of respect for Joel, because he was able to sift through all these songs and say, how does this sound? And he has a good way of saying, I'm just throwing this out there. Let's try a different chord here, or what if you got rid of this verse or added a verse? And I liked the way that he suggested changes. And if they didn't work, it wasn't an ego thing. He would say, oh, that was a bad idea. And it was a fun process. And
I love watching an audience come in and going, okay, who's into this guy, right?
Right.
And what I heard, it was an audience that was not uncomfortable sort of saying loud things from the back while you were talking, and calling out in response that you may or may not understand to what you're doing. And I thought, hey, they're on the edge too. And do you think you attract and give permission to that kind of person? Or?
It's a lot of times people come to see me that don't go to see anybody else. So I've built my own fan base. Like, I don't like music to be about competition. So I don't like it when somebody says, vote for us, Battle of the Bands, vote for us, we're up for an award. I think that is so crass and such a turnoff to me that when I hear it, I want to walk away from that sort of energy. And if somebody's begging, I have to open up for you, let me open up, and they work that angle too hard, I just think, build your own audience. Find your own. When people come to me for advice, I say, first of all, why are you doing this? Are you doing it because you want to be famous? And they say, yeah. And I say, then you're talking to the wrong person, because that's the wrong reasons to do it. Do it because you have to do it. And this is, otherwise, get out of the way, because you're just clogging up the arteries here. And I like music to be pure and come down from God, whatever God is, whatever idea of God is, the creator, as Bob Dylan would say, the chief operator in the sky. Like when they said on 60 Minutes, why do you do this? He goes, I do this because I have to. Why? Because I made a deal. With who? With the chief operator in the sky.
I love that you're opening. It feels to me like the openness that moves through your live show is also moving through your online persona in some way. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Well, if you go through my blogs, I've been blogging for like over 10 years. If you go back to the archives, and I have so many songs that were just free that I just put up, that I made up that day, that later will be on a record that'll be way more produced, and a song gets its calluses the more you play it, and it becomes a different type of song. But I'm talking the day it's created, I like to put it up and go, oh, here's this song, and not be that precious about it, because there's so much information out there anyways. What happened to the record industry is they got too precious about it, and they tried to stop file sharing. They didn't realize they'd lost the game the day it started happening, and the people that were on top, like, who really goes to rollingstone.com? Come on. They're so far behind the game. They're idiots. Jan Wenner did not want to give any of that crap away, and he thought he was going to be able to charge for it, and they're so far behind the times. Their online site is not compared to what other people have done and where I was going to get information. They're just now coming into their own on that, and they're trying to.
So you're moving fluidly with the times, and it's a retro futuristic endeavor, isn't it? Because you are a guy with a guitar driving around in a van with a small support crew and playing small venues and house concerts and making songs over the phone with your friends around the world and all of that. And yet you got USB keys and you're using an iPhone on stage. Where's that going to go? To wrap up, where's it going to take you?
That's the beauty of technology. Don't shy away from it. Love it and learn how to use it and still be retro with it. Still put out records, but then put out key drives, flash drives. Use Twitter, use Facebook, use whatever you're going to use. Use this technology to make instant videos and send them out around the world. It's beautiful because our community and the world is getting smaller and smaller. It's how you use this stuff, and can you still keep it organic and make it beautiful and maybe spread the idea of love and humor and laughter, because our time here is so short. I mean, we are not on this planet that long, when you think about it. What do we leave? What's our legacy? I like having people clap for me and sing and play songs, but every once in a while I get down and I'm on the road and I think, God, nobody came to the show. There were only 8 people there, and what's going on? And then another night you're a king, the next night you're not. And this, as Hyman Roth in The Godfather 2 says, this is the business we've chosen.